Should go live now. Let me just make sure. I think we're live. Let me look on the Facebook. Load. Yeah, we're good. All right.
Awesome.
I am here with the James Krause.
What's up?
All right, current UFC fighter. He's killing it right now, and he's giving us some time today. So I really appreciate that and having you on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you, man. I think you're doing me more of a favor than I am you, but I appreciate it. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
brother. I appreciate that. All right, so cool, man. Let's get started. You've been fighting a long time, man. I look back, I was researching you a lot more, and it looks like your first AMI fight was in 06. So
Yep,
about right?
2006. Yeah, it was about 2 weeks after I started training. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, wow. Okay, so how did you get into training? How'd you get into jiu-jitsu? What was the first discipline that you studied out of MMA, and how'd you get started?
So I started in MMA actually. So, man, where I'm from, it was like it was kind of like the Wild Wild West, and there wasn't like weight classes. There was, but it wasn't. It was like at weigh-ins, you really didn't know who you were going to fight until weigh-ins. You got there, they're like, oh, you're 146, you're 172. That's close enough. You guys fight. That was the type of stuff that I was up against whenever I started. And I got kind of, I don't say, I did get lucky, to be honest with you. I got really lucky. There just so happened to be, for whatever reason, like I live in Missouri, so and in a town probably 45 minutes from where my gym was, there just so happened to be a three-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion by the name of Eduardo Posea. Uh, and he, for whatever reason, was there. I can't even tell you why he was there. And he came and trained and taught a guy out of my gym, taught him for probably 10 months, and that guy taught me. So I would say the advantage that I had going into this was I was, let's call it like a 3-stripe or a 2-stripe white belt. I would say like a 2 to 4-stripe white belt competing with somebody that had never done jiu-jitsu before. So it was
Right.
a big advantage. You know what I mean? Like I had a good triangle. I had good hip dexterity. I had a good triangle. And that took me pretty much as an amateur. I was like 18-1 or 19-1 as an amateur. I think I won 16, all but 2 of my fights by triangle.
Wow, that's freaking insane.
So
So
yeah,
two
it
weeks
was
after
just
you started
lucky.
training, you're like, all right, I want to fight, or did your coach say you're fighting?
No, no, no. Yeah, they told me. They were like, "No, you're fighting," and I was like, oh, "Man, I am for sure not ready." And they're like, "Yeah, you are. You're good. It'll be good." And my first fight was at the World Car Audio Finals, and there was over 10,000 people there.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was packed. It was crazy. Like unlike anything else I'd ever been a part of. It was a crazy first fight, and I'd fought a guy who had just TKO'd my coach the month prior to me starting. So I was like, I don't think I was set up for success, but I guess that really didn't. I ended up winning by triangle. Shocker.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just insane. All right. So you win that first fight. Were you hooked instantly, or were you like, man, I should go back and like get more experience in training?
Yeah. I was like, I got to figure out how to do this stuff. And from my city, there was a wave before me. A guy by the name of Curtis Stout. He fought Anderson Silva. He was in the UFC. He was the first guy in the UFC from here. But I would say that I was probably the first wave of fighter to come out of this city that was like, hey, I'm going to do this twice a day, all day. This is going to be my life. Some of these other guys they were competing at a high level, but they still worked normal jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They had families. It was like, hey, I'll try and train twice a week. I was the first one who was like, man, if I'm going to do this, I got to really do this. I can't go in there. I don't know how some people go in like out of shape and unprepared. I could never
Yeah.
do that ever. Like that scares the hell out of me. So, uh, I was like, I got to do this all day, every day if I want to do this, so I don't get beat up. So I was the first one I think to really like embrace that full-time fighter role.
So you start training more and more. You obviously kept busy. 18-1 as an amateur is a lot of
Yeah,
amateur fights. Was there no pro fights, or you just decided you didn't want to go pro until like I know a lot
there was no pro and amateur where I was from. It
of,
was yeah, it was just you are here, and then whenever the state went pro, where they started sanctioning fights, is whenever I decided to go pro because nobody would fight me anymore as an amateur. I was the number one ranked amateur in the country for over 2 years. So, like I couldn't find fights anymore. And it was one of those things where it's a regional thing. Like nobody in the region would fight me, and nobody else wanted to pay for me to travel to go fight their own guy. So because they were getting guys from their own place, and I get it,
Yeah.
uh, and they're not paying you, so they can't pay you. But as I went pro, I could get more fights, and I started getting paid. I got paid like $350 my first fight, and then my second fight I took for free. It was just that's how it was. It was just a different time period.
Now, was the goal in your head always UFC, or were you just taking it fight by fight, or did you have an end game in mind?
I mean, if you were saying that you wanted to be in the UFC, it was a complete shot in the dark because there was really nobody that I had ever known or trained with that had made it to the UFC. Like I've heard of guys making it there, but if they did make it there, they'd get whooped up on and sent packing real quick. Like I had never known anybody that had real success out of there. And then finally, one of my training partners, Tim Elliott, gets signed as a flyweight, and I was helping coach him, and I was like, man, like it hit close to home. It was like, hey, man, this is a real possibility now. This guy right next to me is there, so I can be there too. And that's that's when things really started getting. When I turned it up a notch even more, and I really started like, man, I think I can do this. I started having fun. I started fighting on TV a little bit more. Like I was on Access TV, RFA, Titan.
Nice.
I was fighting a little bit more higher profile fights, and it really started to open up to me to where I was like, man, maybe I can do this.
So, how did you get the call to do the Ultimate Fighter, whatever exhibition match to get in?
Yeah,
Did
man,
you have a manager?
it's been
Or?
so long. I'm not. Yeah, no, I had tried out for the show probably 7 times, like so many times that they knew who I was when I went in, and I think it was just a point of like, man, I think it really was a thing of like, hey, we're tired of seeing this kid try out. Yeah, let's just give him a shot. And of course I blew it my first time, and
Yeah.
I blew it on the WEC. I went 0-2. I fought Cerrone, and then I fought Ricardo Lamas, both on short notice. And then I blew it in Bellator, cut 33 pounds in 5 days, and I lost that fight. And then I blew it on the Ultimate Fighter. Like I've blown many opportunities, and they finally start. The UFC finally starts looking at me. I'm like an 8-fight win streak, 8-fight win streak, and they called me. They actually called me to fight a kid in Ireland on 5 days' notice, and I was like, nah, man, I can't do the short notice thing anymore. I keep getting beat up. So they gave me 16 days notice, and I took it. And I fought Sam Stout on my debut in Canada. When I
Yeah. Guillotined him
Yeah.
in the third round or something like that.
Yeah, 13 seconds left. Yep.
That's freaking insane. So that's a good question then. So you don't have success on the Ultimate Fighter, right? On that tryout to get into the show. And then, whatever happened. And then all of a sudden it just seemed like out of nowhere, you're like, you get on to the next Ultimate Fighter where they brought back all the studs from the shows, and you just freaking go on fire from there. So like what changed? Did you hit your 10,000 hours? Did you just get more confidence? Did you just like something changed? And that's
there was a big change in there. Actually, when I went on the second show, I was already in the UFC. I was in the UFC for 2 years, and but in 2012, I had a guy take me under his wing and kind of like mentor me, and I was kind of a negative. When I say kind of, I was a negative person, and I just wasn't really like I wasn't who I wanted to be. And I'll keep a longer story short. But he took me under his wing and kind of taught me how to be a positive thinker. Read all the books that successful people read. Think like a successful person. And have the traits of what somebody that is successful does. And I wasn't doing those things before, and I started doing those things. And that was really the turning point for me is, reading all the books, thinking like a successful person, and acting like I was already there, and just a lot of like positive self-talk, visualization, goal setting, the things that anybody with any type of success are doing anyway. I was never taught those things. So he taught me those things, and it just like, everything started shooting up for me from there.
Was this another coach or fighter, or was this someone outside of the fight world that helped you?
No. So when I lost on the Ultimate Fighter the first time, I quit. I quit MMA. I didn't want to do it anymore. I couldn't handle the emotional roller coaster because, as you know, anybody that's fought for any amount of time or competes in general, especially in combat sports, knows how emotional it is. It's a lot. And I quit for like a week, and he had a staffing company that that hired people, and their base pay was like 125 a year, and I was making nothing at the time. So I was like,
Mm,
man, let me get with this dude.
nice.
And he pretty much told me, he's like, man, he's like, I'll never hire you. He's like, I'll never hire you, but I will help you.
Unemployable.
So yeah, ended up it turned and actually he didn't even really formally say it like that. Come to find out, he was writing a book on mentorship and how to mentor people, and I just so happened to be a guinea pig. You know, he used me as a guinea pig. I was his very first person he ever mentored, and he did it for over a year. It was a lot of homework. Every Friday we met at like 5 a.m., which, I'm not a super morning person or anything like that, but like there was a lot of homework. He kind of broke me a couple times. Like he held me accountable for things I said I was going to do, and it was a really
Wow.
he made me grow up. It was good.
That's like a Mr. Miyagi story. That's amazing.
It really is, man. It really is. He changed my life. It's awesome.
Ah, that's great. Okay, so I watched the season you were on. I was very interested in that season because I too was on the Ultimate Fighter at
Yeah,
170. So I was like, man, I didn't get the call, but I'm going to watch this. I want to see how this
yeah.
plays out because I knew all you guys. I've seen all you guys. So I watched every episode, every season. And one thing I noticed about you is you were super confident. Like all the other guys, they were talking a game and all that, but I could see in you that you were confident. Like you've been through the reps, you had the
Yeah.
fights. So where does that come from? And maybe for someone watching this who's a fighter or even not a fighter, who's not that confident, how could they get some of that?
You just said it. You just said it best. You said you've been through the reps, and I have confidence, man. Like I have done so many hours of so many. You know what I mean? Like I've done 10,000 everything. I have confidence in that, and I train hard, and I have a good team, and I put the reps in, man. And like if you do the work, if you truly can look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, I did everything that I can, and I put the due diligence in. I did my homework. I put the reps in. If you do all of that and you're in the grand scheme of things and you do everything that you possibly could to set yourself up for success, there's nothing else that you can do. You know what I mean? Like what else? If you come up short, man? What else could you have done? If you did everything, there's nothing else that you could have done. And combat sports especially, the better guy doesn't always win. So it's like if I train hard and I put the reps in and I do everything that I could leading up to that, I can't do anything else, man. You know what I mean? Like I've done everything that I possibly could to be the most prepared that I can be. And if I come up short, I gave it my all. You know what I mean? I gave it my all, and that's all I can do is give everything that I have, and so I think there should be confidence in that, and doing everything that you can do to win. But I just I've been there on that show. I was already in the UFC. I'd seen the high level. You know what I mean? Like I've been there. I was still there. I've been fighting some of the best guys in the world for a long time, and I've seen those reps. I know what they look like, and win, lose or draw, I have experience with dealing with high level guys, so it's not a big deal to me anymore. You know what I mean? I am a high level guy in my opinion. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I've been there, I've seen it, and I have confidence that I can compete at that level.
That's freaking awesome. So I have a bunch of amateur fighters, some pro fighters, two guys in the UFC. If you were basically a new amateur fighter, like maybe you got your purple belt, your striking's getting pretty good, you're getting into some fights. You've had a million fights, man. So like, go back and like, what's some mistakes that you've made that if you were training someone to get to the UFC, they want to be where you're at right now. What would you tell them? Like, do this, don't do this, the do's, the don'ts. Any advice you would give them?
Yeah, drill more. I hated drilling when I started. Drill more and drill with absolute intent. So I tell my guys now, we spar like we used to drill and we drill like we used to spar. Like I I'm really big on not like beating each other's brains in. Like that doesn't serve you well. So I would prefer to drill, and when I drill I crack. Like I hit hard. I'm moving. Like the drills to me aren't just like jab cross hook. Like I'm always feeling like I'm moving like I would in a fight. I try to make everything that I do look as close to the fight as possible. So in a fight you're never just like, jab cross hook, jab cross. You don't just stand there. It doesn't work like that. Like there's movement. You have to, your head move. You have to move. There's consequence. There's setup. There's feint. So I try to do all that and get those reps in. Get the 10,000 reps in of the jab cross hook, not by itself, but feint, move, set up, and then hit the jab cross hook, and then get out of there. You know what I mean? Like so. Obviously, good coaching is you have to have good coaching, and you have to have a team. more importantly, you have to have a team that cares. You know what I mean? Like, I think people get so caught up in going to the super gyms. Man, if you go to one of those gyms, they're great gyms, don't get me wrong. But if an amateur fighter goes to one of those gyms, they're going to be number 247 on that list to get attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go to a place that cares about you and has an invested interest in you getting better, not necessarily financially, but just they care. You know what I mean? Like that. And you can tell somebody gives a shit or not, you know? But I think that, that's important. That's the most important part. And, make sure that person is on the cutting edge. That person, your coach, is watching what's going on. You know, what are they doing? Are they a part of, are they watching the fights? Are they seeing the evolution of the game? Because in this sport, as you know, there is no middle ground. It's either you're evolving or you're not, because things change on a weekly basis in this sport.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the evolution, and in my opinion, the jiu-jitsu guys, I'm a first degree black belt. So, I know you have a jiu-jitsu gym, and you're a high level jiu-jitsu guy. We got to figure out a way to get more effective, because it just seems like you give a good wrestler a blue belt on top. It just seems like there's not very many guys that can do anything. Like, nobody's catching subs from their back anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so I got to get creative with my jujitsu. Like, for me, like arm bars and triangles, they're almost like non-existent from the back anymore at the high level. So for me, whenever I swivel off for an arm bar, I don't do it to catch the arm bar. I do it to create space to work back up. Or like I use butterflies to create space to work back up. Like everybody's just so dang good at not getting swept, at not getting arm barred. On their top game is so good anymore. So you got to get creative with different ways on how to use jiu-jitsu to maybe not sweep or submit, but to create some space.
Awesome. So now the person's a pro. He's 2-0. What's the biggest mistake you see fighters making like that? If they would have just done this, they'd make it to the UFC, or now they screwed it up and now they're not going to get anywhere.
Too much too soon. You got to get a good management team and a good coach, man. Like, if a fighter's job is to fight, and what I see all the time is the fighter, like, they'll win, a couple in a row, and then they get that, oh, I want to fight the best. Like, man, it's not about getting there. It's about staying there. You know what I mean? Like, you got to play the long game in this sport. And, like, I try to pull my guys back because they want to be in the top 15 and they want to be a champion. Look, cool. You know what else you want to be? You also want to have some financial freedom to, you know what I mean? Like, because what does it matter if you get signed to the UFC and you're making 12-12, you fight 3 times a year. Let's say you go 2-1, that's 24, 48. You're making $60,000 a year. That's a normal job. It's crazy. In Florida, that's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you're paying that mortgage in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing, man. It's not enough. So you got to get through that first contract. You know what I mean? Like, and start making some money. But to do that, you can't fight the best guys every day, man. The margin of error there is just too small at that high level. And so the answer is, I see the guys don't listen to their coach and don't listen to their manager, and they keep beating the drum to where the manager and the coach are like, all right, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not the right move, man. It's a dumb move. Or guys taking short notice fights because they need the money.
Mm-hmm.
So stupid. Yeah. So stupid. Ridiculous, man. Like, I see this happen all the time. A kid from my team just took a fight short notice because he needed the money. Terrible matchup for him. And he was on the chopping block anyway. It's like, dude, you don't understand. If you lose this fight, the money train is gone. It's leaving. Like, why are you? And you can't talk to him. You know what I mean? You can't tell him. So what's the point of having a manager and a coach if you're not going to listen to him?
Yeah, it's like, just be coachable like you are as to your coach, to your manager, and to, it's just, it's insane.
Do what got you there. You listen to these guys, and that got you there. And then now that you're there, now you don't want to listen to them. It just doesn't make any sense sometimes.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, let's see. So, all right, so you have a lot of hats, right? You're a husband. You're a father of 2. You have your younger sister also living with you. So you have 3 kids in the house. Yep. You're a UFC fighter. You're a business owner. And now you're also a coach to you other fighters and UFC fighters. I have like half of that, and I'm balancing, juggling. So how in the hell are you doing this and staying in one piece and doing them all pretty well from what I see to the outside?
Well, and I do more than even that.
Sure.
I like invest in real estate. I do a bunch of stuff. But for me, I'll be honest, I've never known any other way to do that. Like, so I've been coaching guys since way before I should have been coaching. I mean, when I told you, like, back when I started fighting, if you had 6 months experience on somebody, you were like, the gap was huge. So when I say I was coaching, I was just helping guys that didn't know anything get better, nobody else was helping them. So I was going to, and we didn't really have coaches. It was just, we got together and rolled and sparred when I started, so it was more a facility to train, not to be coached.
Mm.
And so I was kind of just coaching guys through live rounds, like, hey, try this, try this. So I've never really known any different, to be honest with you. And I think one thing that I am really good at is shifting. So, like, if I'm fighting, that's priority, right? Like that, you
Mhm.
have to put your attention there. As soon as I'm done fighting, I shift to something else. And like today, I've held like 3 or 4 pad sessions already today, and trained a little bit myself. And I'm pretty much at the gym all day, every day. And I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm passionate about it. I love what I do. It's not work to me. I think that goes a long way.
So you're a
But
very
it's,
supportive family, I assume.
what's
Very,
that?
very supportive wife and family.
Yeah, very, yeah, very. And I go home. I'm home probably like 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. every day. And during this whole time I've been home, I go home like 1 or 2. But yeah, they're super, super supportive. My wife is great. She's very understanding, and it's just kind of how it's always been, really. Like, this is what I've always done.
Yeah, it's no different. As far as sponsorships, now that they have I know it's been a few years, but they have the Reebok crap and all that, and people are making
Yeah,
a lot of money with sponsors. Even when I was fighting, I was doing way better than my guys are getting
yeah.
in, just from friends and whatever. But how are you helping your fighters get sponsorships, and what are you doing for yourself for sponsorships because who the hell's going to want to pay money if you can't even show it in the cage anymore?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, that goes back to having a good management team. That helps a lot. But uh, I think I hate the word sponsorship, but it's the only way you can talk about it. It's more of a relationship. Like, people want to help their friends. People want to, like, so whenever I think about that, it's like, how can it's not about just giving money. You have to add value back. It's how can we create a long lasting relationship that we're actually communicating with each other. What can I do to help you? What can you do to help me? And that's where I think the disconnect is fighters just think that they deserve money. And there's no return on investment there most of the time anyway. So you have to create a genuine relationship to where those people get something out of it. And some people, it might just be the relationship. They feel like they want to be a part of your journey and your success, and they're willing to pay for it along the way. Like, people just want to help sometimes, but they're not going to do that for somebody they don't know,
Right.
and if they do, they won't last. So I hate playing that rat race game. For me, it's not even worth, like, I don't like whoring myself out for like $100, $200 for a post, and then they feel like they didn't get anything out of it, and then they're upset. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't even like. Whenever I do something, I like it to be a long lasting thing where I actually communicate with these guys, and it's more of a relationship or a friendship rather than a sponsorship.
Right. Is there a certain niche of company that works better than others? I know, like, assuming I can create a relationship with any company from anywhere, what are fighters getting now? Like, what are they doing to get extra money besides, the fight money and the Reebok money? Like, is there something specific?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like, social media is they're doing social media is huge. Are you referring to like what the fighter's doing, or are you referring to like what type of companies to do,
Yeah, like
or what?
companies.
Yeah, the companies, like, man, like CBD is huge right now. They seem to be giving stuff out left and right. Like like a lot of like there's a company that sponsors me. It's called Art of Sport. It's like soap. It's like men's stuff, like men's grooming stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff's it's more the same demographic.
Mhm.
Those seem to be really big right now. But I don't, man. I'm a really big believer in like how to win friends and influence people, and I think that I don't think it really matters the type of business if you're genuinely creating that relationship rather than they're looking at the wrong ship. They're thinking sponsorship when they need to be thinking relationship,
Got
in
it.
my opinion. And to me, the company is irrelevant on what you want to do. But yeah, like the CBD companies, the men's care companies, there's always some kind of like supplements are always big. I mean, but a lot of those are product rather than money. So I think you got to get really creative with social media, get creative with helping that company out if you want to venture into like getting actual paid sponsorships.
Got it. So let's talk about your last fight, man, because we were kind of talking about
Ugh.
not taking fights last minute.
Yeah.
And dude, it was gangster what you did, and you've gained probably millions of more fans from what you did. Because
Yeah.
those who don't know, like he was cornering somebody, right? And then
Yes.
some what's his face, Trayvon Giles,
Trevin.
Trevin
Trevin
Giles,
Giles. Yep.
his opponent backs out last second, and Krause jumps in. He's like, "I'll do it at 185, right? You're 175."
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
were you like in shape, ready to go, or were you like, training hard? Or tell me
I'm
about
always in shape. I train every day, so I'm always in shape. But in shape and fight shape are two different things. I was not in fight shape,
it.
and we're anywhere close to it. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it was a business move. Like the contract that I got a new contract out of it, and I almost doubled my pay on that. So
Ooh,
it's kind of hard to turn that down. You know what I mean?
really?
Uh,
You did great.
yeah,
Being in shape,
yeah.
crazy fight.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a fight that I thought I could have won, and I think I did win. But I weighed the risks, and I got a new contract out of it. I liked the matchup. I liked the fight.
Mhm.
I was in decent shape. You know, I didn't feel like he was a big middleweight, and I'm not a middleweight. I'm not even a big welterweight, to be honest with you. I used to fight at lightweight, so yeah. I mean, I weighed the options, and I thought it was a good career move for me, and I would do it again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it was pretty freaking close, and I was rooting for
Yeah,
you, man. I was like,
thanks, man.
yeah, that was good. So who is the toughest guy you've ever fought? The most skilled, or the toughest, or like the hardest fight you've ever had?
Yeah, most skill is definitely Jorge Masvidal. He's a veteran everywhere. It's the only guy in the UFC that I feel like genuinely was a better fighter than me that night and beat me. You know, like I've lost a couple split decisions that I felt like I won. The low blow by Bobby Green.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but Masvidal is the only guy where at the end of the fight I was like, yeah, I lost that fight. Um,
Oh,
he's he's just a veteran at like picking up. When you pick up, when you're here, he goes here. When you're here, he picks it up, and then when you drop down, he drops. He just stays, right here. And at lightweight, he was really good at that, which is why he lost a couple of split decisions. But since he's moved to welterweight, I think he has a lot more confidence in his cardio, and I think that's why you're not seeing him drop any split decisions anymore. He's starting to knock people out. Same with me going up to welterweight as well. You don't have to worry about gassing out
mm-hmm.
because you're tired from the cut. So it's helped me a ton. Most durable guy in the UFC is definitely Sam Stout.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was, I mean, he was a head kick, flush head kick across his forehead, cut him, just gashed him wide open. I was hitting him with hard shots. He just kept coming and was talking to me during the fight. I was like, he's a tough dude, man. Tough dude.
That's insane. Um, Billy Q had a question. Let's see. Let me start reading their questions here. Ask about his investment plans. Heard him on an interview about that. So you're
Yeah.
making money now, right? You got to invest
Yep.
it somewhere. So what are you doing there?
I don't have a 401k. I have what's called a 401ko. No, it's real estate, man. Is all I'm doing. I do real estate. I have a little bit in stocks, not much, man. I'm anything that I've ever invested in that I don't have control over has completely tanked. So I try to avoid that. I try to invest in things that I have decision making in and that I have control over.
Mm-hmm.
And real estate seems to be the best thing for me. I have like five or six, seven properties now, and couple houses, couple Airbnbs. I own this building that the gym's in.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, that helps a ton, man. It helps a lot. Just that has been really, really big for me, and from a financial standpoint, has definitely taken me to next level. And people don't. We're gonna need to jump on another thing to talk about like how awesome real estate is, but people don't understand that the power of real estate and how somebody else is paying your payment down while you're cash flowing and it opens up. They don't get that. People think you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in real estate. That's not true either.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's dude, it's it's like, I'll give you an analogy. I just bought a house here. I know these numbers are small compared to what it would be in Tampa, but I just bought a house here in Lee Summit where my gym is. I paid 120 for it. I bought it really well. It's worth 150. So I got 30,000 in equity just right off the gate. I spent 10,000 on renovations. It probably bumped it 10, 20,000. So let's just say low end's worth 160 now. My payment on it is about, let's call it even 550. And I'm renting it to a friend for 1,100. I could get 1,200 for it. So you're talking about, six hundred ish, with, let's just call it 600. Yeah. So, I'm cash flowing 600 a month, so we'll just do 1 year, 600 a month. That's 6,000, 7,200. I'm cash flowing a year, but they're also paying my payment down, of 550. So that's another 6,500, I think, right? A year. So I'm cash flowing 72 and they're paying 65 down. So in 1 year's time, I'm at like $14,000. And that's not talking about tax benefits. That's not talking about inflation, raising rents each year. That's not talking about actual property value going up. It's crazy, man. And if you keep, don't do the math on 5 years of that, it blows your mind.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad 101, right?
100%.
I read that. That's awesome.
Great book.
Yeah, that changed my life. We were just talking about books earlier.
Yes.
Asked about being a manager and a coach and a fighter all at the same time. Did that. That was good. Yeah, we got about 2 minutes left. Anything you'd want to add to anybody's fighter career? I have all my fighters on here watching. I have all of them in there.
Man, if the guys are watching, like you guys have a great program already. Like I'm familiar with I'm familiar with you guys. You have a great program already, and I think a lot of guys they tend to, like, if they lose, they tend to like question everything. And it's funny. I just had this talk with my guys today. It's like sometimes, like, I had this saying. It's called the progress is in the process. Like, don't always look at the end goal. Sometimes the success comes from the actual process and going through. And I mean that on multiple levels. I mean that in the fight. Like, I can't tell you how many times that I've won a fight just putting somebody on the fence, and I haven't even actually taken this person down, but they get so tired. Like, if you're on top of somebody, just riding them out, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't even done anything to them, but the process in which you working through the system, you're working back. Okay, they replace. You go back and you do it again. That just cooks people up sometimes, And then also, like, from a career perspective, it's the process. Like, you get better getting more experience. You get better going through the process. You get better by losing. You get, like, all these things combined make you better. And if you look at my career and my career alone, I'm the perfect example of that. Like, I am the absolute perfect example of what happens if you just don't quit. And, like, I knew that I was never going to quit because I love this too much. I couldn't quit if I wanted to. So I just don't go away. You know what I mean? Like the Ultimate Fighter, I tried out so many times that they're like, God dang, let's get this, just give him a try, get him out of our hair so he won't come back anymore. Like, I'm a great example of what happens if you just don't quit. I'm not overly talented. I'm not athletically gifted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything that no average person on the street, I'm not any, like, anomaly by any means. Like, I just don't go away, and I work hard and I work every single day. And the most common question I get asked from a new kid, and I'm sure you get it all the time, is like, do you think I can make it to the UFC? I just say, I think anybody can make it if you just put the work in and you go through the process, you put the reps in, and I truly believe that. I'm a great example of that. I'm a good example of what happens if you just don't quit.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you so much for the time. That was gold, man. Gold nuggets right there. So
thank you guys. I appreciate it a ton.
So thanks again.
Hey, thank you, bro. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, my man. See you soon.
Bye.